Hi guys, it's Nina. Oh, I've got the wrong little caption on. Hold on a second. There we go. Hi, it's Nina Hart. I'm the president of the National Nurses in Business Association and the owner and executive consultant of Hart Healthcare Solutions. And I am excited to be here today live. This is our Tuesday afternoon live stream. Normally, I am joined by our member engagement coordinator, my sister Casey. She is traveling for a friend's wedding, so she is not here today. And Jed is providing moral support while cleaning the garage. So I'm on my own today. So if you're here with me, let me know in the chat and keep me company so I don't feel like I'm all alone. But what I really wanted to talk about today, when I was thinking about what is the next natural progression from talking about overcoming the fear of failure, like what happens next, right? Like, well, once you overcome the fear of failure, it's time to come into dreaming again, right? And some of you have taken my dreaming again course and know how I love talking about mindset and how important it is to really allow ourselves to dream again after being in situations where we feel like we are just kind of bogged down. Like, last week I talked about just my experience with being fired, and everything seemed very like depressing and like, what are we going to do? And like, woe is me. And like, I'm this victim that this happened to me. And so I was not, hey, Eva, hey, Peter. I was just not in a good place right after losing my job, and I felt like everything was hopeless and nothing seemed right. And so we go through these down times where we're like, okay, we're feeling like we've experienced this negative thing. One of the things I've done is, I think I talked about this maybe a little last week about my AFT, my aroma freedom therapy. Aroma freedom, what's the T? I don't think it's therapy. But it's similar to the emotional freedom, EFT, like tapping. If you've ever done EFT sessions, AFT is really familiar with, similar to that, except you smell oils and you think about a time when you worked through something and you channel these memories. And the purpose of doing all these things is to like awaken possibilities and work through like negative feelings and reprogram your thinking to positive feelings. So that is kind of what we work through when we go through these. We work through this fear of failure. We overcome this really scary thing. And then we're faced with this new opportunity, this new exciting thing, these possibilities, right? I got fired. So there's new possibilities were presenting themselves when my first client ever asked me if I wanted to do consulting from my house and audit his charts, right? That opened this whole new realm of possibility that I didn't even know was there. So the next thing after that is we start to have ideas, we start to awaken, we start dreaming again, we start that possibility mindset. We transition from that fear of failure and lack and loss and scarcity to like abundance and possibility and dreams and what if I could and what if this is the chance, right? And so I wanted to talk about this today because one of the biggest challenges that nurses face when they step into business is not that they don't have any ideas of what they should do. Most of the time with nurses that I talk to, they have too many ideas. They want to do everything at once. They want to do all the things, right? And so, I'll talk to nurses who will have like 6 different things they're working on. That's amazing. I love that. I also have 6 different things I'm working on. But if you're just trying to start, you really have to pick one and go with it. I think it's Russell Brunson that came up with like ClickFunnels, was talking about like you need to make $1 million off of one thing before you move on to the next thing. Hopefully, I think that's the right person. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But he talked about make $1 million off of one thing before you move on to the next thing. And I think that's something that I see really prevalent with nurses is they've got some really great ideas and never ever move on one of them. So it's like with all these opportunities, now we've got this flight of ideas and we're stuck in analysis paralysis. We don't know which one to start. We want to start them all, so we don't start any. We don't do anything. And so, how do you confidently move from all these ideas to one idea? Which one should it be? And then how do you even like start moving in the direction of that idea? And I think this is something that I really see a lot of nurses struggle with. So I wanted to talk about from idea to action, how to choose the right business idea, how to execute with confidence, and just talk about that, some like real strategies that I think could be super helpful. Hi, Sue. Hey, how are you? Thanks for coming on. So I'm talking about turning ideas into a profitable business, that translating an idea into action into a business for those who are starting. And sometimes this could be for established businesses, right? That it's like I have all these ideas of where to take my business. Which one do I do so I don't do any? Or if you're like me, I have all these ideas of where to take my business. I'm going to do them all at the same time and just literally stretch it out for 3 years because I'm working on so many projects at once. So this could help you too. If you're already running a business and you're like, I want to do all these big things with my business, how do I organize these thoughts? This should help you too. So I'm going to talk first about some of these issues. So overcoming indecision. It's very, very common. It's like this: you get these ideas and you want to do them all, so you don't start any, or even like the fear of like picking the wrong one, or thinking somehow that if I make a decision, then I'm trapped in that for all of eternity. I can never change it, and I've messed up my business forever, right? So, a couple points I just want to make before I talk about these proven strategies. I want to just remind everybody that not making a decision is still a decision. No decision is a decision. So if you've got 6 ideas and you decide not to move forward with any of them, that's your decision. That is the decision not to move forward. I have actively decided I'm not moving forward with this right now. That's fine too, right? Like when I talk to nurses and they say they're not ready for this, then that's their decision, right? I don't say, yes, you are. If I really think they're not ready for it, I'll say, well, that's a good decision right now. Then if you're telling me you don't have time for this, you don't have the energy for this, you don't feel passionate about it, you're happy at your job, you love your job, and you just think that that's the best fit, wonderful. That's great. That's your decision then. But if you feel this pull inside that you should be doing something different, that's telling you, that's a cue, a trigger, like, oh, maybe I'm supposed to be doing something different. That's not the same thing as feeling like you're happy with what you're doing, right? So I think the problem is when I talk to nurses who are like feeling pulled to do something else, feeling like their job is not a good fit or employment is not a good fit for them at all, or they're disenfranchised, disenchanted with the with the whole healthcare system as a whole, and they're just done with it, right? And that's a big chunk of nurses that I talk to are just done with healthcare as a whole, just want to be done, want to exit the system completely. I totally understand that feeling. I have it as well. And so I think that that's different than just feeling like, well, maybe I just need to take a vacation. So when you realize that you sense that internal trigger that it's time to do something different, you have all these ideas of things you want to do. Here are the problems that I see with the ideas that nurses have. The biggest problem I see is that they're just picking up what they saw on Facebook. So they saw on Facebook that they could do be an influencer. Nothing wrong with that. That's great. If you want to be an influencer, there's nothing wrong with any of these things, of doing any of these things. The problem is that they're not doing it from a place of, here's where my expertise is, here's where my passion is, here's how I want to change the world. It's like, oh, I saw an ad for, what are some very popular life coaching right? Functional medicine is very popular right now. Legal nurse consulting's been a big one. And I see a bunch of nurses who say, I think I'm going to be a legal nurse consultant. And I say, why? And they have no idea why. They're not interested. They don't want to be in charts. They don't have no interest in, the legal system of how disputes are won, or how they would be advocating sometimes against other nurses. They're not aware of that. There's just all kinds of pieces that they just have no idea. They just saw that this was an option, and they're so desperate at this point that they're like, I'll do anything, right? So we actually have to have some sort of structure for how we come about what we're going to do as a business, because there really does have to be some foundation there. And even if you said, I'm going to start a coffee business, and you hate coffee, right? But maybe your mom loved coffee, or your grandma loved coffee, or you love the smell of coffee, you just hate the taste of it, and you just want to be around the smell of coffee all the time, right? Or you met your spouse over coffee, and they love coffee, and you're helping them build this business. Or isn't there like a coffee company that says like a baby is the size of a coffee bean at 7 weeks or something like that? And it's 7 weeks coffee, or 8 weeks coffee, or 6 weeks coffee, or something like that. There's a why under there somewhere, right? Maybe it's not even about the coffee. It's about the baby the size of a coffee bean, right? There is a why there somewhere. There's a purpose that they're selling coffee. And maybe it's not even the coffee, it's to save babies. I don't know. There's a purpose there, right? So there has to be something more to keep you going than just whatever caught your eye at the time. So there has to be a little bit of inflection and like self exploration and evaluation here. Like, what are my strengths? Okay, well, I love solving problems for patients. I love, the idea of preventing injury. One of my coaching clients was a NICU nurse, and she saved a baby because the lines were tangled, and she developed a system to untangle the lines, and that was her passion, was safety in the NICU, so that no baby ever died from a medication error, right? She evaluated her expertise. Her expertise was that she had a system for keeping things organized that other people didn't have, right? So she can market that to hospitals and NICUs as a specialized safety system to save babies' lives. If every nurse follows this system, you'll never lose a baby again, right? So there's this deeper mission there that's driving what she's doing. So some of this does need to come from your experience, what you've done in the past. That doesn't mean you need to qualify yourself and say, well, I'm good enough to do this as evidenced by A, B, and C. I think when we do that, we self sabotage, and then we go right back to analysis paralysis. Well, am I good enough? Or is it just that once it was a fluke, right? Or do I really know enough? No, really, I don't. I really don't know enough. I need to wait and do this in 10 years when I have all the knowledge I need. And that specific date and that specific knowledge will probably never come, right? I've been working for myself for 5 years now, and I was telling a nurse today, like, I hope you know that I don't know everything. I don't know every regulation about hospice. If one of my clients asks me a reg, and they expected me to know it and I don't, I say, unfortunately, I don't have all the regs memorized yet, right? Like, I don't have the whole COP for hospice memorized yet. I don't know every single possible regulatory I don't have the ECFR memorized. My brain doesn't work like that. I probably never will, right? I'll always have to look things up. I'll always be learning. I'll always be um, in this mode of kind of absorbing knowledge. And so I think that we have to give ourselves a little bit of grace when we're in that stage of evaluating where our expertise is, because if we're not careful, we can go overboard, right? And it's not meant to be. What qualifies us is how much we know. What qualifies us is our desire to serve and help and improve, patients' lives, organizations, healthcare as a whole, whatever your passion is. It's most likely, if you're a nurse, it's built around helping someone do something, even if it's helping them with their appearance, look better, feel better about themselves, helping them take better care of their home or their children. Those are important things too. So a couple ways um, that I like, one specific, I'm just going to tell you my favorite, and then I'll tell you a couple that I know a little bit about that I'm excited to learn more about. So the primary way I'm going to talk about making these decisions about your business idea is using the ICE matrix. So the ICE matrix is impact, confidence, effort. Okay. So essentially, you are rating, you can list out anything that you're interested in. Anyone can do this. This doesn't have to be for a brand new business. Any nurse with any ideas about what they should be doing next. This doesn't even have to necessarily be for a business idea, but that's the context I'm talking about in today. Is basically using it to help you make business decisions. So I'm going to put this in this in case you want to look it up. I think I read about this in a book somewhere, but I wish I could remember what book this was from. But it's called the ICE Decision Matrix. And again, it is impact and confidence and effort. So you're rating all your ideas based on these three things. So essentially, you can make a list of everything you're interested in. I want to write a book. I want to have a consulting agency. I want to coach people. I want to develop a course. I want to make a policy and procedure manual based on whatever it is that I'm good at. Anything you want to use this for. On the left side of a piece of paper, list out every single idea you have for your business. I want to do foot care. I want to be a legal nurse consultant. I want to sell candles. I want to write a book. I want to be an author. I want to be an influencer. I want to, anything in the world that you can think of for your business that you might want to do. You list this out on the left side of a paper, and then you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. And so you say, what kind of impact would this have on people I care about? So, or on the healthcare community, or on moms, or on nurses, or on babies, or on the person I care about. And so you're going to say, writing a book, that might have a huge impact. That might impact lots of people, right? What about, becoming an influencer? Well, if I became an influencer, I would impact a lot of people, right? That would be a ton of people. So you're going to rate it by what the widespread impact would be. That's the I. Okay. Then confidence. What is my confidence level in doing this? Well, if you know absolutely nothing about, you know, auditing charts or, the legal system, maybe legal nurse consultant is not the best, or coaching. If you're terrified to tell someone, you know, your thoughts, and you don't really want to be on Zoom, or you don't want to have a lot of like really personal conversations, and that grosses you out, your confidence in coaching is probably pretty low, right? That might be lower than writing a book where you can just put your whole opinion out there for the whole world. That might feel better to you. I don't know. That might be a 10. Maybe writing is like really what you're gifted in, like Peter, right? So you might love writing and feel really strongly that you are confident you could write a book. Peter is probably a 10 out of 10 on writing a book. He probably feels really confident in doing that. That might be something he has a very high confidence level in. So he could rate that a 10 out of 10 on writing a book. Then the last column is effort. So I know what impact it's going to have. I know how confidently I could do it. How confident am I could execute it? What is the effort level I would have to put in to make this happen? So maybe for if you wanted to make like a PDF ebook on, I don't know, how to meal prep for 12-hour night shifts for nurses, and you already have all the recipes for meal prep, and you already have a Google Doc with all of them in it, and all you would have to do is submit it to Fiverr or Upwork, or find somebody to format it in a beautiful PDF on Canva. Maybe that is a very low effort for you. That's going to be like a 2 on the effort scale, right? You could easily do that. So that would be a really low effort task that you could accomplish. But maybe something like, if you wanted to take a course, or if you wanted to get functional medicine certified, let's say, and you were like, wow, well, I really don't have the money to do that or the time to do that right now because I'm working full time. That's a really high effort task for you to be able to accomplish that. Or if you wanted to write a policy and procedure manual. For me, To write a policy and procedure manual would be a 10 out of 10 effort. Maybe my confidence is pretty high that I could do it because I'm really familiar with the regs and things like that for hospice and long-term care. That is true. My confidence is high, but my effort is super high, right? That is a laborious task. So, how quickly could you execute? How much effort would have to be put in? And so you can then score up those columns to see, what should I do right now? Well, if your confidence is really low and your impact is really low, then maybe that's not an area and the effort's really high. You probably don't want to do that area, right? But if your confidence is really high and the effort is low and the impact is high, then you definitely could do that. So this is a way to find out something that you could execute very quickly. And that's the goal, is when you're listing out all your business ideas and you're not sure which one to go with, and you're like, I'm not sure which one to start with, which one should I go with? This is just a way to organize all your ideas and rate them from highest to lowest to say, okay, well, I know where I feel the most confident. And you could honestly go with that if you wanted to, or I know what's going to be the least effort. I tell people a lot, like, path of least resistance here. If you have 6 ideas and one of them you could get out of the box today and execute today, do that, right? Go with that, because sometimes you need a quick win. Sometimes you just need to get something out there. Sometimes you need to feel like you're moving, you're taking aligned action, you're going in the right direction. So the ICE Matrix is my tool of choice to find your best business idea and move forward with one of them, the top rated one. One thing I'm really excited about is Karen Retardo at the NNBA conference in July. She is doing a session on aligning your strengths with serving your clients. And that's not the exact title. You can see the exact title on the website under the conference information. But the reason I'm so excited about this is because sometimes when we feel friction, and I have been through this myself, I have felt this friction recently. I don't even mean like 5 years ago. I mean, like, all the time I feel this friction when we are doing something out of our strengths, and when we are trying to people please, or we're trying to, you know, push and grind and get through stuff that we feel like has to happen, and we put this expectation on ourselves that no one else has usually. um, we create this situation that is really uncomfortable. We're out of our strengths, we're not working in our strengths, and we are pushing ourselves, grinding, right? Working to try and compensate for not being in our strengths. So I think it's really, really important to understand how working in our strengths better serves our clients, and our business, ourselves, right? Better serves our success. Here's the conference agenda. You can find her session on there. It's on Saturday. It's from strength to service, aligning your talents with clients' needs. I'm super excited for this session. I can't wait to hear it, because it's something that I think is really important for all of us. So using the Clifton strengths, or another, I think there's a strengths finder. Maybe that's the same thing. There's a bunch of different assessments you can take to find your strengths. I remember one of them, and maybe this was Clifton Strengths or the Strengths Finder. One of mine was woo, and now that didn't make a lot of sense at the time, but now it does, because I'm all in the woo woo and the mindset, and it's my big thing is like really changing our thoughts and our perspective, and the quantum soup and the reality casting and all of it, vision casting and dreaming, all of it is like really, really important to me now. How I structure my business, how I think, how I respond, how I allow myself to perceive situations, how I put out there what I want to happen. All of that is because, those are important to me. But at one time, I wasn't aware of that, and before I was even aware of that, I got woo on my Strengths Finder test, and that's kind of a funny little thing that you're like, what is this? What does that even mean? And now all of a sudden I am woo. I am the woo. So I've embraced it. But there's all kinds of tools that can help you really identify your strengths that you can apply to deciding what business idea to do first. So work in your strengths. All of that to say, know your strengths, work in your strengths. If you have an idea and it aligns with something you're really good at, there's going to be less resistance moving in that action in that path than there is with something that goes against where your strengths are, unless you have a partner who's going to really balance you out, or you have outsourced this or delegated this to someone else on your team, which most of the time for many nurses, when we start out, we don't have a team, it's just us. So if your business base is not aligned with your strengths, there's going to be a lot of friction, right? So you definitely want to be working in your strengths. Some other tool that I've heard of is like the 80-20 rule, identifying 20% of the actions that will bring 80% of the results. So you have to know the outcome. You have to know what you want. So if your result that you want is $1 million business, I want $1 million business, then you have to identify then what are the 20% of actions that's going to bring me 80% of the results. So for this, you need to know the outcome that you want to have, and then you need to work in the actions that are bringing you closer to that result. That can be hard to implement on the front end because sometimes we feel like we don't know the strategy, or we don't know what the desired result is. We want something diffuse, like we want freedom, we want to work for ourselves, be our own boss. Like maybe there's no specific agenda there or no specific outcome there that it's tied to. So that can be a little hard to nail down. But I think outlining your goals and your results, what you want from a business, and sometimes that can start with what you don't want. I think that's okay too, to outline, okay, I know I don't like this. I need to be away from this. I need to have the freedom to pick my kids up from school. I need to be able to take a sick day when my kid is sick and not be written up for missing one day of work. Like some of these things that I hear nurses talk about, like they don't necessarily know what kind of business they want. They don't have any business goals, but they know that they can't do this anymore. Hey, Janet. Hi. So they're motivated by these painful factors, right? So those painful factors are driving what their goal is. But setting like SMART goals and saying like, here's what I want, here's when I want to do it, and then just taking aligned action, taking small steps that align with that, to move towards those ideas that you've identified are going to get you to that result that you want. And which one can get you there the fastest, and which one is aligned in your strengths. Keep it super simple, right? Because you don't have all the other answers. You can't fill in all the blanks. So we just have to do what's in front of us, what we know. We know our own strengths. We know what we want for the most part. Maybe it's not super clear. Maybe it's not a 10-page prospectus. That's okay. We have an idea of where we want to go. We have an idea of what we can do to help people and serve. Follow that and take aligned action. And that's really how to move ideas into execution. So, some next steps from that would be finding accountability, mentorship, peers who can support you, sharing your ideas, having conversations, connecting with people that can help you move forward. Building relationships has been a huge part of that. Really getting clear on who you serve, how you serve, and why you serve. We've done a couple of lives about this, about identifying your ideal client, doing market research. Go back through those things to figure out, do I really have a very clear, could I articulate, if you asked me, Nina, if I asked you, who do you want to help and how do you want to help them, and what is the result that they want and why do they need that and can they afford it? You should be able to answer all those questions before moving forward with a business idea, because you don't want to just go into something because you saw it on Facebook and thought it sounded cool and thought it sounded like a get rich quick idea, right? And a lot of the times when we're desperate, those things seem like they're very appealing or seem like they're a good answer, but you really want to make sure that it's going to be a good fit for you, that it's going to be in your strengths, it's going to be aligned with your values, and that it's going to meet a need that you've identified that people have, and those people can afford to pay for that need to be met by you somehow or your service. So hopefully those strategies and those action items will help you move forward. And thank you so much for joining today. That's all I've got. Thanks, Janet, Peter, Sue, Eva. It was great to have all you guys on. And I hope to see you at the NNBA conference, and check out that agenda where Karen's talking about aligning our strengths to better serve our clients. I'm excited for that session, and I hope I'll see you there. Bye.